Hi, welcome to this lesson. So in this lesson, we are going to be talking about default parameter values like this. All right. So inside of your function, you can give default parameter values as well. In case we don't send values from our function calls, okay. And if you still want the function to work, you can give default values for your parameters. Just mention the parameter and then an equal to and then the value like this inside of your function definition. I'll show you how it works. So first of all, let's say I create a function like this, and so to add two numbers, I'm receiving two parameters like this, okay. And then I'm declaring a variable sum, and I'm adding both of the numbers inside of the variable sum like this, and I'm alerting sum right here. All right. And then later on, I'm calling the number, calling the function. So if I give two values like this, I'm gonna get the proper output, right? I'm gonna get the proper output. Perfect. But what if I don't give anything here at all? When I refresh, I'm getting a nan in here, okay, not a number. Now that's because I didn't send anything here. So num1 and num2, if we look at console.log of num1 plus num2, let's see what we're gonna get. See, we are getting two undefineds in here. Undefined, that's because we're not sending any value for num1 or num2 from here, right? So that's why we're getting undefined for num1 and num2. Okay, so in this case, if by mistake the user of the programmer does not send any values for the function definition, then you should have a failsafe method here. So you can create that failsafe with your default parameter values. So all I have to do is in here I can give an equal to and a default value that can be used in case nothing was sent, okay, like this. All right, now if I were to look at this, say I'm going to get 7 because I have two default values in here. If I give another another function call, but this time if I give values in here, let's see what's gonna happen. Okay, so the first alert is giving me 7. If I click on OK, the second alert is giving me 15. Okay, let me make this console.log so you can see this better. Okay, so let's remove this console.log. I just want to show you. Okay, let's refresh. See, the first one is giving me a 7 because first one does not send any parameters and it's going to take the default values. And the second one is giving me 15 because we are sending parameters, so it's just going to replace. Okay, so this parameter is going to replace this, and this parameter is going to replace this value. So now num1 would be 10 and num2 would be 5. Okay, so these are just fail safes. Okay, these are just in case you don't send the value. So if you do send values, it will be replaced. Okay, so that's why the second result is 15. Now if I only give one of those, if I just give 15 in here, let's see what happens. See, it gets 17. Now that's because num1 has a value sent from here. By default, the first one, if it's just one value, it will be considered as the first parameter. So num1 is replaced by 15, but num2 does not have any value in here. So num2 would be 2. So 15 plus 2 is 17, like that, right? So that's what we're getting. Alright, so if you want to give your default parameter values, you can make them string or a boolean as well. It does not just have to be numbers. Let me create another example to show you how that works. I'm creating a function called who's this, okay, and I'm creating two parameters, a child, which is going to have a default parameter of true, and a message, which is going to have a default string of a child with an exclamation mark. And then inside of here, I'm going to say if child is equal to true, okay, then do a console.log of message, else, then do a console.log of no. Okay, so now if I call who's this like this, what am I gonna get? I'm going to get child. Now that's because by default the value of child is true, so I'm going to get child. I'm going to get the message child printed out. But on the other hand, if I give a false from here, just one variable, okay, just this, if I give that, then I'm going to say, sorry about that, I made a mistake in here in line number 17, sorry, line number 11. Okay, this is supposed to be a string like this, right? So if I refresh, okay, nope. I'm getting nope now. Okay, because I gave a value false from here, so I'm getting no. Now, if I were to give the value true from here as well, that does not matter because by default it is true. But if I still give it, I'm gonna get child because that's the condition. And on the other hand, if I were to give true, and if I say baby like this, okay, then basically what I'm doing is I'm replacing message, the default value of message, which is going to be printed out if the child is true. So message is going to be printed out. I'm changing that to baby in here. So if I refresh, I'm gonna get baby. Okay, okay, so that's how it works. So but on the other hand, if I give false and baby, is that going to make any difference? Nope. Now that's because if it's false, this condition is not going to be true, so we're not going to get a message. We're just going to go to else, which has a predefined message, okay, so it can't be changed. But that's how it works. So we can give defaults to multiple parameters, but we can use the default for just one or more parameters as well. Okay, so that's one thing about default parameters. In using your default values, you can also, let me delete this first. You can also pass the return value from another function as the default of the new function. You can do that as well. Okay, so let me create a code. In the below code, we are adding add num like this, and we're getting two values, num1 and num2 like this. But for num2, I'm creating a default value, but default value is going to be a function called like this. Okay, I'm going to call mul number. So basically what I'm going to do is multiply two numbers and add that result with a third number. Okay, so this particular function call is going to go and multiply two numbers, okay, and we are going to get the result in num2, and then we are going to add it inside of the add num function. So I'm going to say let sum is equal to num1 plus num2 like this, and we can say console.log of sum like this, okay. And if I call add num right now, I'm going to not get the proper result. Now that's because, well, mul num is not defined yet. So next what I have to do is I have to define, because I already have a function call of mul num, that's fine, but I have to start defining it. So function mul num like this. So num1 is equal to 2, num2 is equal to 3 like this. I'm giving default values for the mulnum as well, because in case we don't give parameters from here, it has to get a default value, right? So let's declare another variable mul right, like this, and then let's multiply both num1 and num2, and then let's do a console.log of this as well, so you can see what the result is. But at the same time, let's return mul, so it goes back to the function call, which is here. So num1 gets this value. Okay, so if you notice something here, I created num1 and num2 as temporary parameters as here variables like in the function call, but there's also num1 and num2 in here as well. Isn't that actually against the rules? Well, it's not actually, because these two parameters are local to this particular function, and these two parameters are local to this particular function. So even if you reuse the same name, you're just going to use it within this function, so it does not matter if you reuse it. Okay, so you're not going to get any confusion in the code at all. Okay, so that's that. All right, so if I do it like this right now, if I refresh and look at that, I'm getting a nan for the second number. Now that's because that's because num1 was not given anything, so I have to give some values for num1. So let's just give 5 for num1 maybe. So 5 plus 2 into 3 like that. Okay, let's refresh. There you go. The first one is 6 because the default is 2 into 3, which is 6. And the second one is 11 because 6 goes in here. And after it goes in here, I can add the value of num1 5 plus num2, the new value of num2, which is 6, and that's what we get. Now if I give if I give parameters like this for mulnum, what happens then? Okay, first of all I'm getting a 12 because it replaces these two, and I'm getting 3 into 4, and after that it gets added to 5 here, and I'm getting a 17. Okay, so that's how that works. Okay, in this vein, I want to tell you about one particular thing in here. Let's finish off with the default parameters. Let's just look at one thing in here. Okay, I want to talk about using the return statement to stop executing the function. Okay. So far, the return statement is used for returning something, right? Like this, okay? So return statement is used for returning a value like this, and that value would come back here, and you can assign it to another variable and things like that, right? But what if you don't want to do any of that? What if you just want to close the execution of the function at a point? If you just give return, just one return and nothing else, no value after that, what would happen? So you can just give return without a value, in which case it will stop executing the function and it will move to the line after the function call. So if I have an alert of hello in here, so okay, or better yet, let's make sum a global variable. Okay, so you can access it outside of the function as well. So this sum is actually this sum now, because there is no other sum inside the functions to rewrite the original sum. So if I alert sum inside of here like this, okay, so I'm just, instead of returning something, I'm just giving a return, because when I do this calculation, it will automatically get added to the sum variable, get applied to the sum variable. So I can access that variable outside of my function as well, remember? So when I just give a return, it will just stop executing the function, and it will come to the line after the function call. So it will come to line number 11, and it'll open up the alert like this. So see, I'm getting a 7 in here because it's printing the alert. So there's another use of using just the return statement. Okay, and also just returning an empty return is the same as returning it's the same as returning undefined. Okay, if you just give a return or give a return undefined, you're going to get the same thing. For example, let me do a console.log of this function call, so I can show you what's exactly getting returned with this return statement. So I'm getting a 7 here, but here I'm getting an undefined because this function call is not getting a value. Okay, if there was return sum like this, then there'll be the sum value in here. But since I'm not giving anything in here at all, I'm just getting an undefined returned in here. Okay, undefined returned in my function call. So that's one thing. Let's look at one more thing. So far we've just gotten the return values, and then we've just used them in your console or your alert statement, or to assign the return value to a variable, something like that. But we can also use the return value. Okay, if I return sum in here, and sum was just inside of it, if it was a local variable like this, and if I was returning sum in here, I can use that in another operation. Okay, I can say add num of 5 2 like this. And this would now have the value of sum, right? So I can then multiply it with another number. Okay, and if I do a console.log of mul like this, let's see what I'm getting. Okay, I'm getting 21. Now that's because add number 5 plus 2 is going to add 5 and 2 in here, and it's going to return 7 here. So this will become 7 into 3, which is 21. Okay, so you can do that as well. So we looked at a couple of things in here. We looked at the return, just using a return statement. We looked at using your functions as values inside of an expression. We looked at default parameters and a lot of things. So I'll see you in the next lesson. Thank you.